Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles, along with my co host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Our special guest today is Mary Jane Riva. Mary Jane Riva is the CEO of Pizza Factory, an iconic hometown pizzeria with an innovative approach to operations and more than 100 locations around the West Coast and beyond. MJ has been in the pizza industry for more than 30 years and has helped Pizza Factory grow into a community staple and a leader in the pizza space. Starting out as a Pizza Factory franchisee herself, MJ became CEO in 2012 and continues to uphold the community ties the brand is known for. When it comes to Pizza Factory, MJ expresses interest in all areas of the business, which allows her to continue to be innovative and work with other like-minded individuals to make the brand's goals a reality. Most recently, the brand was ranked on Entrepreneur's Franchise 500 list and landed on the Franchise Times 400 list. MJ also helped Pizza Factory introduce a new express model, which helped the brand solidify itself as an industry leader and one that is familiar with the increasing demand for convenience and off-premise dining. Wow, MJ, I'm so glad you're on this show. I mean, your experience and your successes, we want to talk about it all. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
So it will be.
So tell us a little bit. You've had this, what I would call an atypical career path. You were a franchisee, then you became a franchisor. You didn't necessarily have a high school, any diploma beyond high school, right? So
right.
How did you get the bug to go into franchising to begin with?
You know, I don't even know if going into franchising is the first part. I have to say being self-employed was the first step, which then led me on to the next step of being in a franchise. But I started working when I was 15 at a donut shop, which Winchell's, if anybody's ever, that's dating myself, but it was Winchell's. And between my dad, who instilled a very strong work ethic, and my employer, the owner, was a woman. So I got to see her in action, and she's had a really good role model for me of, I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. She owns her own business. So from there, I inadvertently was approached by another gentleman who had donut shops, and bottom line, he got me into my first business when I was 19. So I owned my own donut shop when I was 19. That's where I became the entrepreneur. The next step was getting introduced to Pizza Factory, which was then where I got into the franchise aspect of it. My husband and I started opening stores back in 1989 down in Southern California. So that's how we got into the franchise. But being an entrepreneur, owning my own business was always something. And yeah, I never went to college. I learned everything about owning and running a business by doing it, which is something that I think should be embraced more than probably it is out there. Titles and degrees are not always make the best operators. And sometimes it does the complete opposite. So I think being in a business and actually working it is one of the best educations that you can get.
I'd say.
I agree. It's interesting as society continues to evolve, we send our children and our grandchildren off to university and they learn things, don't get me wrong, but real life skills, how to run a business, how to manage money, how to deal with conflict management and build teams and communicate, all those real life skills we get from working or being in an environment that nurtures it. I mean, there was a day and a time, you would watch your parents, run whatever little business they were run. Today, we don't see that. Our parents go off to corporate jobs. So
yeah,
it really is the best lesson is just to do it.
Yeah.
So MJ, this unconventional way of becoming an entrepreneur, then becoming a franchisee. As a woman, did you find there were more obstacles than normal to go through, to be a leader, to run a business? Tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, and it continues to this day. Obstacles, are they as great as they were, 20, 30 years ago? No. I think it also depends on the people that you're in contact with. There are still a lot of people out there that approach women differently, and they always are. There's not much we can do to change that. But when we first started doing, when I owned my donut shop, quite honestly, when I had that, I'll tell you one of the experiences I had when someone said, "Wow, this is really great. You're so young, you did this." And the comment that came out next was, "Yeah, but she has a husband." And it was like, whoa, not only do I have a husband, but he's not working this donut shop. He has his own thing. So those kind of things happen throughout, as well as even when you're and don't get me wrong, there's lots of people that respect women in business, but being that I was also on the younger side, that was a little bit of an issue. But bottom line, when you're in a business, a lot of people will want to talk to the man. They feel more comfortable with the man, and I still quite honestly don't understand that. I really don't. I think women are probably more approachable than men. I think women communicate better than men. And I just think that there's a real, I don't know what it is, but definitely had those issues with people looking at me as the wife of the owner when that was not true at all. So yeah, so that was one of the things, and it continues into even as a corporate level here. But I've just learned to not let myself lose sleep over it anymore, or to let it bother me as much. I think that comes with age. When I can say one thing, when we were approached, it was 2012. We got the franchise in 1989. Like I said, we developed 5 stores in Southern California, my husband and I, and then eventually he got out and retired and didn't want to do it anymore. But I continued with it. And then the franchisors, the founders of Pizza Factory, approached us in 2012 and wanted to know if we wanted to buy the company. So that's how we got into this level. But the interesting thing is, when they asked, my husband said, "You're really asking her to do it. You're not asking," because he's been out of it. So my husband looked at me and he said, "What do you expect out of me?" And I said, "I don't expect anything." He says, "Then good, you go for it." So that was awesome, because he knew that it was something that I wanted to do. I didn't need a partner. I didn't need a man. I didn't need my husband to do it. And it was like, I felt like I was, and I don't know how many women are out there that feel this, but sometimes you just feel like you've been let loose free. And it's like, okay, this is my baby. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make the most out of what I can. Wow. Am I going to fail? Yeah, I'm going to make mistakes. But you know what? It's just, sometimes you just want that ability to just go, you know what? I'm unattached to the husband or the partner or whatever. And that might sound a little selfish, but it's my personality. That's what I wanted. It's a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I don't apologize for it. It's really what who you are. Yeah, it's something that was in me that I wanted to try. It was such a challenge to take this on.
Tracy, you could probably relate to some of this, because you helped your husband, who is a orthodontist. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Run his business.
Yeah. So I helped him to build his orthodontic practice. But at a certain point, I realized this is his passion, not mine. So stepping out of it, I can relate to the freedom. But I will tell you something that really resonated me just now with what you said. When you said that you stepped unapologetically into business ownership because it was about you, I think a lot of the time out here, small entrepreneurs, we're looking to blend into something larger so that we're not carrying the weight of all of the departments on our shoulders. And I find it to be so admirable that you're unapologetic about your entrepreneurship. I mean, that to me is so inspirational. Mm-hmm. That to me is so motivating.
Especially as a woman, yes.
Yeah, we've always got to encourage the women out there to be able to be who they are and to take on what their goals and their dreams are. because sometimes we feel like they are taking a second seat. Not always. There's plenty. My husband supports me tremendously in this role. He did step back and knew this was going to be my thing. And there's a lot of, people that have that same experience. So it's not across the board that you don't have that, but it's just the ability to really just look at a dream and a goal and say, you know what, this is going to be something I'm going to go after. I'm going to go after it 100%. And it's just really exciting. It doesn't matter what your age is, where you're at in life. It really doesn't. It's just taking it and knowing that you can do it. And you
Exactly.
can. Yeah.
Exactly. It's interesting because he trusted you so much that he didn't interfere, right?
Doesn't at all. He supports me. I always tell everybody he has the most difficult job because when I come home, he has my drink ready and then he allows me to share and I'll run stuff, by him and say, what do you think about this? But no, he totally supports me. I'm so blessed to have a husband like him that does that. But he also knew when he married me that, that's who I am. And this was a great opportunity. And it's been and it continues to be a really great ride. I'm thoroughly enjoying what I do.
Yeah, and you're so good at it. So on the same kind of topic, MJ, as a woman leader, do you find you also lead, manage, direct, cast visions differently than maybe a man would that's running a franchise or as a franchisor or as a franchisee? Do you think there's a difference in how you do it?
Yes. And I think for most women, there is. Women have a softer approach. That doesn't mean it's weak. It's just softer. Men can be very bold, very loud. As a woman, I think that we communicate better, and I think that we see a different side to things. It's not black and white as much as the male might be. Again, we're being generalized, and I don't mean to. There's great, anyways, you know what I mean. But bottom line, I think as women, and I know for me, I have to be. I'll tell you in the beginning, I felt a little intimidation, like I don't know what this is going to be like. Being CEO of a company. I'd never done it before. What's it going to be like? So there was a little intimidation and anxiety. And as soon as I was able to let go of that and go, you know what? I am going to do it and be who I am. And that's where I'm comfortable. I wanted to be able to be comfortable with what I'm doing and how I'm leading. I wanted to be able to know that I felt everything that I believe in and everything that I feel as good qualities in a person is what I was doing. And if it stopped being that, then I knew I wasn't being who I wanted to be. You can real easily go into the mold of somebody else and start going down a path of being what people expect a leader to be. And the leader should be who they are and not what everybody expects or perceives, because everybody grows and everything happens for a reason. And our personalities are all there different for a reason. So I am not the person that you're going to see with the greatest big words out of the dictionary. I'm not going to have all these, talk around circles with people. I'm going to be very, very frank and very honest. And so that gets a little intimidating at first, but then I learned really quickly that most of those people that had all that stuff, you didn't know who they were. It was like you weren't really seeing who that person was. They were just a facade of an image of leadership. And I didn't want to have that later. I'll tell you one thing, when we first bought the company and I was so excited. It was like, oh my gosh, I go into the office and the staff's all here and it's like, okay, this is what I already had the whole game plan of what I saw the vision for this company, because the owners had kind of taken a retirement stance for a while. So I had this whole vision. So we all booked tickets. And the first thing we did, we went to Texas because I wanted to go to this big kind of seminar thing that they were putting on. I won't put the name of it, but bottom line, we went there and we were so excited and we walked in and we went, oh my gosh, we don't have X, Y, and Z. We got to really get this company up to speed, right? No problem. We're going to do it. But at dinner that night, I was taken out to dinner by a couple of the guys that were putting it on. And they literally to my face said, "You are never going to make it." Yeah.
No, they
You're never,
didn't.
you are never going to make it. I had a mentor that I was using. They said, bottom line, I was only in it for the first 6 months. And I was ticked off more than anything that, it ticked me off. I thought, how dare you? You don't know me. So what was my best way to show it? That's all I could do was to show it. But you will get those things. I don't think they would have said that, quite honestly, to a man if they were sitting there. The intimidation sometimes, and this sounds so terrible because I sound like I'm doing a male beating up thing here, and I don't mean to, but you do hear those things, and I still see that stuff, and I still will go to things with my husband, like, again, who doesn't work here, and people still go to him and want to hear and talk to him about the business, and he just looks at me and goes, she's the one
boss.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot of those things that people try sometimes, I think, to make you feel like you can't do something. And you just have to really convince yourself to not follow what you're being told and believe in yourself. And it's hard, really, really hard sometimes, really hard, because it doesn't matter who you are. There's times when you're feeling like, am I really doing a good job? Am I really doing what's right for the franchisees? What am I, and you question yourself. And, for me, I pray about it a lot. I just, make me the best leader that I can be, show me the way. And I do a lot of that. But mostly I try really hard when I find myself going off that path and I'm allowing somebody else to make my attitude and my personality different than what it is, to count to 10 and go, don't go there, because I don't want to be something I'm not.
MJ, it sounds like you have such a high degree of emotional intelligence. And there are so many leadership books and leadership courses and the degrees and, people with whatever letters after their name. And they come out of school with the theory of leadership. But it sounds like you went to the school of life on leadership. Tell us about that. How do you?
Because we failed. I've had 2 restaurants that failed. It's not all roses. I've made mistakes being the CEO. I mean, I've chosen a path, and I always say there's roads, and sometimes you have to choose what road. And sometimes when you've chosen that wrong road and you realize it, you got to know when to turn around and get back on the other one. And you have to suck it up, and you have to be able to acknowledge, you know what? That didn't work. And you can't be afraid to acknowledge, because that's going to also increase, in my belief, that also increases your integrity with the franchisees, that they know that you are going to be telling the truth. And if I've messed up, I'm going to say, you know what, we tried this and guess what? It didn't work. We're going to, and so I think that honesty is the best thing that you can show the people that you're leading, and that you're human, and that you really do care about what they're doing. And they're going to make mistakes too, which you're not going to rub their noses in it, or you're not going to, just beat them up over it, because everybody's going to do that. And I certainly have made my mistakes along the way, for sure.
So it's a suck it up, buttercup. But what I admire about you, MJ, there's a gentleness and a humility about you that allows you to self-reflect and say, oops, that didn't work. Not beat yourself up, but okay, oops, that didn't work. And then find another way and be transparent about that, which, when you get on that level of arrogance where I'm unteachable, etc., it makes it harder for us to make those changes. So this humility, this quiet humility you have, makes you a phenomenal leader, because you are paying attention to the signs. Is it working? Is it not working? Is it getting us closer or further away? And then this tenacity that you have also allows you to keep moving forward, and speaking the truth. I frequently say, God is not through with us yet, that we're always, being, our character is being fine-tuned in these situations that we are put in, especially as leaders, when we are here to steward an organization. I mean, that's your job.
Yeah.
As a CEO, is to steward this organization. That's a lot on your shoulders, so.
And you lose sleep over it. And I think for me, I definitely, when, we've lost some franchisees to COVID, there's just, everybody is just a person trying to own a business. They're not anything more or less than that. They're just like me. This is a business that I have. This is a company I have. Yes, it's a level up from owning a restaurant, but at the end of the day, whether it's my customers in a restaurant that I'm trying to take care of and give the right service to, now it's the franchisees that I'm, like you said, I'm a steward of their life savings, of what they put into their businesses. And I know what it's like to do that because I've done it. I still have stores. I know what that walk is like. And I know those sleepless nights when the sales are down. I know those fears, and everybody has them. And there's, I guess I sit there and think, if I'm going to make up an excuse or deny when something's gone wrong, it's going to be an awful lot of energy for me to sit there and argue with someone and defend myself. Where it's much simpler if I say, you know what, this didn't work. What can they debate that with? There's nothing. So, you stop it. And quite honestly, it's like, I just don't understand why failure, which is a terrible word in so many ways, and I don't necessarily even like it, because I think failure is another way of saying learning, because that's how you learn and you grow. So failure is really kind of misunderstood, but there's just so many things that people go through in owning a business. And you have to be able to be very sympathetic to what's going, because they have a personal life too.
Yeah.
And so do I.
Failure, that's almost like a title of a book. Failure is just another word for learning.
Yeah.
Because it really is.
Yeah,
if we're open to it, right?
Yeah.
Rather than taking it personally. I screwed up, I failed, I didn't, whatever.
Or making it an end. Don't make it the end. You failed at something. Don't stop and go, okay, I'm worthless. You failed, find out what the other route is. There's another, maybe you're not good in this, but maybe you're really good in that. So I think for me, I would, like, for my son, it's like, if for him, it's like, you didn't fail, you just ran into a roadblock that's not right for you. So you need to find out what is, and don't make it make you stop. Don't discourage you. Don't make it stop you from trying again, because it's just a word, and failure is a part of life. But I don't know, I think it's just life as you get older. And now I'm sounding like really dating myself, but you just really start to look at stuff so differently than I did in my 20s, where I let other people's opinions and other people's comments and other people's values really go, oh, well, maybe now I just go, I just have to do what I believe. And like I say, I really feel I'm being led to do what I'm supposed to do. And I've got to go with what I feel I'm being led to do. And when the door shuts, then I know that I'm being told that something else has to go.
Go another way, and be open.
Yeah.
Open to it. Tracy, this is reminding me of what we call an internal sorter that just knows, right? She just kind of inside, you have this, compass. Let's call it a compass that you're running your life and running this business by, that you're being true to, and you understand yourself beautifully and where your strengths and your weaknesses are. And when there's an obstacle or a problem, or even what might be labeled as failure, you're not taking it personally. You're simply saying, okay,
let's move on.
That was an obstacle.
I'm going to share something really personal. And it might give you a little bit of where my attitude comes from. I had 11 miscarriages.
Oh my.
And I had a failed adoption in my 20s. And I think after going through something like that, and I ended up having a son when I was told I couldn't have kids. And now I have a 31-year-old son.
Aw.
And I think that things in your life happen and it makes you look at stuff and go, you know what? You don't give up, number one. And two, timing and what you're supposed to do and when it's supposed to happen is not in our hands. It's going to happen when it's supposed to. And sometimes we want to try to make things happen and they don't. But, I think when I look at stuff, I look at what is really, when I look at some of the things that have happened in my life and I look at a business failing, it's just where that weight of that business failing versus me wanting to have a son, the weight I put on that business is so much less. Yeah, I think that's where you don't take things so seriously sometimes, and you take what's the really serious stuff. But I do struggle with that. I struggle with my time allowance for my family. As a woman, I think that's also something that we do, is that we want and do everything. It's just in our genes. And I struggle with that balance. I do struggle with that. I will say that, and my husband will back me up on that. So it is because you just give everything 110% and you just don't want to stop. You just keep going. So I do struggle with that one.
Yeah.
Welcome to the real world.
I know, really. Yeah.
You're very much a realist. And I think a lot of us women struggle with that, work-life balance, which now they're saying work-life integration, because it's no longer a balance. It's just where everything all plays out along the day.
Thank you to social media and our phones and our computers and everything, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Was there an exact defining moment for you that you can even remember or think of, when you just said, I'm handing this all over to a higher power and I know it's going to be okay and we're moving in the right direction?
There's been a couple times, because it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Because we tend to get into our own control too many times.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, obviously being able to have children was a huge part. And I basically, for that particular, I'll make it real short because that really has nothing to do with business, but it's part of who I am, is when I had 11 miscarriages, surgeries. We had adopted a little girl in 5 months. Her mom decided to take her back. I mean, it just was failure after failure after failure with that word, right? And I kept beating myself up. And finally, I just said, you know what? If I don't have it by 35, I'm stopping. And that's when it happened, 34. I gave it up. I said, this is it. I'm not doing it. And that's when I got pregnant again, but it worked. And then for the business aspect of it, when I had one of my stores, I knew the store was running me. I wasn't running the store, which a lot of people do that. They let the things around them run their lives. And we all have to keep watching that and keep that at bay. So there was one point where I knew I was so bad that it was running me and I was very unhappy. I was not enjoying the restaurant. So we sold one of them, the one that I was doing the most work, and we sold it. And I dove myself into things that were just things that could get me away. And I started teaching Sunday school at my church for fourth graders. And I did that. And then a year later, I was ready. Then it was like I was ready again. I felt like I got grounded. I got back to where I was. And I said, okay, this business will never run me again. And that's where everybody, I think, battles with, that we allow our business, we allow our job, we allow a lot of things in our life to start controlling, that we don't have that control anymore. It causes anxiety. I have anxiety issues. I have, trouble balancing and keeping that integration, as you put it, of life and work. And I think that is a struggle for a lot of women, a lot of people, but women in particular. And I think that's where, again, I went back into my church and spent more time doing things that made me feel like I was taking it off about me and about somebody else. And that helped a lot. And I tell you, if I spend so much time being introspective on my life, but mostly it's just saying, it's really simple. I just pray, please make me a good leader. Please show me what I am supposed to do here. and give me what it takes to do what I need to do here, what it is, what is my purpose here? What am I supposed to be doing? My anti-bully program with this company is a huge, huge thing to me. And that's the other thing that I feel. And I feel like this is a platform to be able to do some of the things that I feel are important. And again, that's a little bit selfish because there are things that are important to me, whether it's, No Kid Hungry, our anti-bully program, and One Tree Planted. We do those things, but that kind of stuff helps me balance, which sounds really weird, but it helps me balance because it's work, but it's putting it on doing something for somebody else that is just doing something good. So that's a balance for me in this company, is to have those things. It's not just getting away out of the business, but just really, it's just, hey, show me what it is I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. There's so many wonderful tidbits here, and I hope everyone that's listening is taking notes as you speak, because this idea that you're off course when the business is running you rather than you're running the business, that's a big deal. Secondly, you had to fill your own cup first. In this case, your spiritual cup, your emotional cup, by going back to being more involved at church and filling up, and then giving it up to God and saying, you're my co-CEO, right? We're doing this together, and I'm going to be open to your direction. And you gave me the talents. I have a calling here, which then leads to almost this pizza factory being somewhat of a mission field with its anti-bullying programs and some other ways where you can give back to the community. So it's not just about pizza. It's not just about making money. It's not just about building an empire and helping people have a livelihood. There's a bigger purpose, which then creates additional fulfillment for those that are participating, in this case, for you in particular. So
I think if I was trying to build an empire, I think I would be unhappy.
Yeah, I think you would too.
I think it's the way, I think that building the empire comes as you do what you do. I think that's a product of what you do. I don't think it should be the starting point. I mean, that's a bigger discussion, but sometimes I think that's where people can become unhappy because they're allowing a material or a number to define what's going to make them happy. And I think that building an empire is, I don't think of any of this as an empire or building anything. For me, it's doing something that I can wake up in the morning and want to do. And when I don't want to do it in the morning and wake up, that's when I stop and go, okay, take some time off or something. But I think building an empire, I think if that's what you're looking to do, I think that's starting at the wrong end.
Yeah, that's not a proper motive. It's the old steward the little, and then we're given more, right? It's going to naturally grow, not because that's what we're going for, but because
you're going to be much more happier. You get what you give, and what you put out there is what's going to come back to you, and in all kinds of areas. And I've been very blessed. My family's been very blessed. Yes, we've had terrible things happen, and yes, it's been a long road, but at the end of the day, we are very fortunate to be where we're at.
MJ, you're speaking like what we at Zarco Profiles would call a true societal. Somebody who's all about having,
I think she is,
impact on others, right? Having purpose and direction, making sure that, you're advocating on behalf of others and just making a difference in the lives of people who you care about, and just in general, having a ripple effect in society. It's beautiful.
I'm glad you said society. What'd you call it?
a societal.
We call you a societal. Yeah, I was afraid you were going to say sociopath. So I thought,
No.
No, you care about people. And your life has a bigger cause, a bigger meaning, a bigger purpose than just pizza or building an empire. Those things
Yeah,
are not what's important to you.
I don't even think we talked about pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is about Pizza Factory. Yeah.
So
Uh,
I do have a question for you, and it does involve Pizza Factory. So to what degree do you think that your mission in life and your personal values also drive the values of the company?
it's a beautiful
Oh,
question. Oh,
it is. And I'm trying to think how to condense it. I believe 100% that the company's values of wanting to give back to the community, which we've always had those, but really identifying different places like the No Bully program. And I think that is one, it helps our franchisees to also have a different outlet to go, okay, this is what I can do in my community. It gives them a particular thing, but I also think it attracts people to a business that they see that is more than building that empire or more than just opening a store. It's going to have more meaning to their life. A lot of people are looking there. There's a lot of people out there that want to just not have a job. They want to do something that they feel that they're making a difference. And making a difference can be in your family, in your community. It can be a bigger picture. It's making a difference, period. It doesn't have to be that you're making a difference in the world, because every little difference you make is part of the world. So I think it's just looking at what we do is part of what is making our growth right now growing so much, because people are starting to see and recognize, a brand that really is more about, or just as much about community and being real than it is about putting on a sales pitch. And this is what you're going to do and this and this. And, that's not who we are. We only want people that want to do something better for their community. And because that's how we are successful all the way around. I think everybody in life are more successful when they do things for others. And so I think that's probably, if I answered your question a little bit the way you're talking, but I think that's a big part of how it's affecting us. And you know what, at the end of the day, like our anti-bully program, how can you not, to have a parent reach out to you and say, hey, you did a presentation at my school today about the anti-bully program, and now he's talking to me about being bullied. What more is there that just kind of brings everything down to reality? Yeah. It's like, okay, I just sold this much in pizza, but you know what? You got some kid you made a difference in.
Life changing.
And that has long-term effect. That pizza, a few hours from now, we're going to be hungry again. But what you're doing has a long-term effect on that child and on that family and on the community, things that we can't even measure yet. We won't know for a long, long time. It's the idea of doing good and doing well at the same time. Yeah. We're building a business while we're doing good. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I know. And you can do both.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about everything in that cash register that goes in. Because again, I believe the cash register will fill with what you're giving out. The community supports those, and that's what it's about. But yeah, it's such a bigger thing than business. And business is just a part. It's a part of our life. It's not all our life.
Yeah. So I gotta say, this conversation could go on for hours, because Tracy and I resonate with everything you are saying, and hopefully we'll get to know you better under other circumstances. But your message is so powerful. But we do have to cut this to a certain time frame. So do me a favor, tell folks how they would get hold of you if they wanted to learn more about MJ, or if they wanted to learn more about Pizza Factory.
If they want to learn more about myself or Pizza Factory, whichever way they choose, they can go to pizzafactory.com, pizzafactoryfranchise.com. We try really hard to represent the company on those sites, but quite honestly, I'm pretty accessible. Isn't that a shock to you? As much as I talk like right now, I'm sure that's a real shock, but yeah, we're pretty down to earth here, so we're very approachable. We're in a very small office right outside of Yosemite. So yeah, anybody, yeah, I know it's really tough. That shows how we
Beautiful.
are, very laid back. But yeah, and 1-800-654-4840 is the number to the office. Yeah, we're love to hear from anybody about anything. It's more than
Perfect.
just a business.
Tracy, your final thoughts about this conversation, about how fabulous MJ is. What are your final thoughts?
MJ, you're fabulous.
Aw,
Fabulous. You're so heart-led and balanced and centered. And I'm so thankful that there are individuals and businesses out there, brands out there like yours that really nourish the community, both physically and spiritually, just nourishing the community. Thank you for pouring yourself into your company and pouring your company into the community. I love it. It's great.
thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very, very lucky to have this opportunity. That's for sure.
Thank you so much for being with us, MJ. And thank you, everyone, for listening in today to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. We'll see you on the next episode.